Hello, and welcome to another episode of Other Items of Interest. I'm your host, Jack Zablocki. This week is a short show, but it's a good show. I promise you that. Stories about farts and poop, mental illness, sex dolls. It's all there, just condensed. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to yet another captivating episode of Other Items of Interest. I'm your host, Jack Zablocki. Today we're going to have a little bit of a shorter show for you, just because we can't mind our time correctly. We went over on a couple episodes this month, and we're running out of hosting space through our great hosting service, Libsyn. Liberated syndication. So what do we got for you today? You know what? Last week I went on a little, I don't know what it was. Last week I talked about Instagram and trying to get an Instagram set up for the show. And it was a bit of a, I wouldn't call it a nightmare, but it sure was a pain in the ass. It just wouldn't work. Just couldn't happen. I guess their system was down. I don't know. That seems like the most logical explanation. So I tried on a whim over the weekend, and we got ourselves an Instagram account now. There's a happy ending to that saga. So Instagram, I'm not too familiar with Instagram. I'm not even the one who's helming that ship. I'm not the captain there. Other Items Pod. At Other Items Pod for Instagram. Does that sound okay? And there's still Twitter, which is at Other Items. Just those two words. So yeah, we're sailing. I'd like to say hello to all the new listeners who have come along to listen. I appreciate it. We appreciate you sharing your time with us. It makes me, gives me a little lump in the throat. I do appreciate it. Wanted to clear up, so I'm trying to talk fast because there's not a lot of time for a stupid monologue. But I'm trying to get one in, though. Wanted to clear up something from last week. I kept saying migratory bird law for one of the stories about a bird. I think it was the vomiting vultures destroying a neighborhood. It's the Migratory Bird Act. We've covered it many times on the show. It's a real deal, and there's a lot of clout behind it. So it's Migratory Bird Act. It protects vultures, pelicans, seagulls, any bird that migrates, which I think is most of them. I'm not a bird expert. Other than that, I think that's everything. Again, we're going to have a short show this week. Probably 40 minutes, maybe less. We'll see what happens when the time runs out. Other than that, we only have about 7 stories for you, but they're good ones, promise. The first one does not relate to the others in any capacity. Start off with a man from Tulsa who uses his Olive Garden pasta pass almost daily. Seems boring, but that's the kind of boring we like here. And the rest of them are, fart stories, poop stories, a couple of crazy people stories, and a interesting story from China. So without further ado, let's get on with the show, shall we? We shall. As I said earlier, first story is about a Tulsa man and his Olive Garden pasta pass. This comes from newson6.com. Headline is what I just said, but Tulsa man uses Olive Garden pasta pass almost daily. And right up top we have a video of the man in question eating at the Olive Garden. I did not bother to watch that. I just can't sit through a video of a man eating Olive Garden. I don't know why. Can you? Would you? Anyway, a Tulsa man is taking Olive Garden's never-ending pasta pass to the next level. The pass gets the holder unlimited meals for a certain time period. This year's passes sold out in under a second, according to Olive Garden. I wish this wasn't so much like a commercial, but it really is. I recently met Tucker Chonka for lunch. That is his last name, Chonka. He isn't a big guy. He's pretty much average size. I would have thought eating Olive Garden daily would blow you up like a balloon. Anyway, and let's say News on 6 recently met Tucker Chonka, because I haven't met anybody. Met him for lunch, and he says he's always taken things to the extreme. Olive Garden is the extreme. So when his brothers started joking with him last year about buying Olive Garden's never-ending pasta pass, he was all in. I kind of take everything to the extreme. People that know me will attest to that. I'm very black and white. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it 150%. For a guy who takes things to the extreme, he shouldn't be black and white. Very, very black and white. Maybe that's how extreme he is, though. He's taking it to a different level. But, doing it 150%, you have to up that to 1,000%, pal. Let's continue. For that initial $300, he says he's eaten between $7,000 and $8,000 worth of food. I wouldn't say it's worth that much, but I understand what he's getting at. Now, he eats most weekday lunch and dinners here, up to 6 pasta bowls per day. I haven't been to the grocery store for my house since September. Haven't cooked, haven't cleaned, nothing, Chonka says. Every entree, every breadstick, every salad he keeps track of in a spreadsheet. That is extreme. Down to the calorie. And they list his stats so far in a little infographic. 470 restaurant visits, 860 plus bowls of pasta, 169 salads, 134 soups, and 191 breadsticks. My breadstick count will be way up. I haven't eaten Olive Garden in I don't know how long, well over 5 years, but those breadsticks, that would get me back through the door. And he's blown past his goal of 1 million calories in a year. That is a lot. I feel like I'm in the best shape I've ever been in, and all's I've done is eat Olive Garden. That's how it's written. And all's I've done is eat Olive Garden. Tucker works hard to burn up to 7,000 calories and 600 grams of carbs a day. He hits the gym twice a day, ab workouts, stair climber, and heavy lifting. While the Broken Arrow Olive Garden general manager says he served pasta pass holders, there's no one quite like Tucker. It's the fact that we do a good enough job that our food is so incredible to him that he enjoys it. It makes me feel good and proud of our product, says Jamie Octay. I think this is pretty good quality food, says Chonka. I have no issue. They're in Tulsa. I have no issues with this. Whenever I eat something else, it kind of tears me up a little bit. If I'm not eating my regular Olive Garden all the time, so my body's just kind of totally adjusted to it. Tucker tells us he was able to buy another pasta pass last week. That's good for 9 weeks. He was then put in the lottery to get the chance to buy a lifetime pass, but he was not one of the 50 chosen. Guess try again next year, buddy. I wasn't really aware they had a lifetime pass for pasta. I guess we can move on. I don't know what to say about this. And from that to this. From NBC4i.com. Farts can leak out through your mouth if you hold them in, expert says. What happens when you hold in a fart? According to research, it could be exhaled through your breath. Breath mint? Claire Collins is a professor in nutrition and dietetics at the University of Newcastle in Australia. Her research examines nutrition and dietary intake and how this relates to changes in diet quality, food patterns, weight, and health across all ages and stages of life, particularly using technology. According to her essay written on the conversation, Collins explains that gas can be absorbed into the bloodstream, and with nowhere else for it to go, it could eventually escape through the mouth. Trying to hold it in leads to a buildup of pressure and major discomfort. A buildup of intestinal gas can trigger abdominal distension, with some gas reabsorbed into the circulation and exhaled through your breath. Holding on too long means the buildup of intestinal gas will eventually escape via an uncontrollable fart. The research is not clear on whether the rise in pressure in your rectum increases your chance of developing a condition called diverticulitis. I hate that word. I've never been able to say it. Diverticulitis. I'm getting better, though. Where small pouches develop in the gut lining and become inflamed, or whether it doesn't matter at all. So what should you do if the urge to pass gas arises? The next time you feel a large volume of intestinal gas getting ready to do what it does, try to move to a more convenient location, Collins writes. Whether you make it there or not, the best thing for your digestive health is to just let it go. And I think that's some good advice in all walks of life. Just let it go. But especially your farts. Just let it go. You might get a chuckle from somebody, brighten their day a little bit. I think most people, not everybody, most people like a good fart. Either it's from their own stock or a stranger on the street, a friend, a family member, an animal. A good fart is a good fart. That's all there is to it. Smell, on the other hand, depends. Anyway, I just thought this article was fairly interesting. I don't think I've ever had a fart come out my mouth. If you have, dear listener, let us know. Tweet us, email us. I don't know what else, but I'd be fascinated to know. I know the difference between a fart coming out of the mouth and a burp. Burps don't smell like poop. I would hope not. All right, enough of this. This is juvenile. We're above this, right? I don't think so. The following story comes to us from Newsweek.com. I find this one very funny. Motorist flings dirty diaper out window, hits state trooper's car. That's some funny shit. A motorist in Indiana is in trouble after a dirty diaper flung out their car window hit a state trooper's cruiser. Indiana State Police Sergeant Stephen Wheels was driving down Interstate 65 in Johnson County when a soiled nappy flew out from the back seat window of the vehicle in front of him. Whoops. The diaper bounced off his squad car, which was reportedly not damaged in the incident. Yeah, if that diaper damaged a state trooper's vehicle, what are you feeding that baby? Time to change that diet. I was heading home after working the Indiana State Fair, tired and wasn't really expecting it. Wheels told the Indianapolis Star. It hit my car and bounced a couple of times. It's not something I could really let fly. Yes, that's something you don't expect, a flying diaper to smack into your car. I've never expected it. Never heard of it before. He said he had no choice but to ticket the driver. Littering is always bad, Wheels later tweeted. Sergeant Wheels of the troopers. Littering by throwing a used diaper right out the car window in front of a police officer is asking for a ticket, especially when the diaper hits said police officer's car. And they included his tweet in the story here. Sergeant Wheels includes emojis in his tweet, which is funny. Especially when the diaper hits said police officers, and there's an emoji of a car and a face with a raised eyebrow. Cute. It's been a big month for not very bright motorists. Should I read this shit? The rest is about other drivers making bad mistakes. Why not? It's been a big month for not very bright motorists. Last week, an Iowa woman fleeing police called 911, claiming the car she was driving had been stolen from her. Authorities say Rachel Thornburg had made the call in an attempt to throw cops off her trail. A driver was arrested Friday on Long Island after allegedly impersonating a police officer and trying to pull over a van full of police detectives. The fake cop reportedly activated emergency lights and sounded an air horn as he attempted to pull the van over. When the occupants, all members of the Nassau County Police Department's electronics squad, identified themselves, he fled the scene. He was later picked up by highway patrol officers and charged with criminal impersonation, reckless endangerment, and fleeing the police. Elsewhere in New York, a driver fleeing police slammed into a hot dog truck, injuring 3 people. The driver's Jeep Grand Cherokee hit a Hyundai, then continued 100 yards across onto grass before hitting the stand and a parked Nissan Altima. Wow. And now we're moving on to dim pedestrians, what they call dim pedestrians. But dim pedestrians have gotten in on the act too. Earlier this month, a suspect fleeing cops in Australia accidentally ran straight into a prison after ditching a stolen Toyota truck. The man fled on foot and climbed a fence into a farm owned by St. Helier's Correctional Center, a men's prison. A lot of bad drivers. A lot of drivers doing stupid things. I can't wait until we all have self-driving cars. We don't even have to have them. They can just be rentable. You get your phone out, you click on the app, you get a Google car, Apple car, Lyft, Uber, whatever. Who's ever got the first drivable rental car? And you say, hey, pick me up. And one comes and gets you, takes you to where you want to go. None of these bullshit shenanigans. Okay? Okay. All right. The following has some security camera footage you might want to check out. You can find the link to this news article at www.otheritemsofinterest.com. Go to the link for the show and the show notes, and you will be able to find it and take a look at what this man has done. From dailystar.co.uk, shopper poos on floor of supermarket before kicking it under fridge. Shopper poos on floor of supermarket before kicking it under fridge. A little blurb here says, the cashier looked stunned as a little bit of poo escaped as he paid for his items. And then we already have a picture up top. He's wearing shorts, so it was an easy escape for that poo. And I think the fridge they're talking about is ice cream fridge. A shopper was caught on camera pooing on the floor of a supermarket before discreetly kicking his feces under a fridge. Feces under a fridge. That's hard to say. CCTV captured the moment the man seemingly defecated in his shorts in the shop and allowed the poo to run down his leg. I didn't think I was going to have a hard time doing this one, but it's grossed me out. I don't know. I've got a strong stomach for these kind of things. He then attempted to cover up his brown disaster by kicking a piece under a nearby fridge. The incident was filmed in Karasu, Turkey, and later shared on social media. Local media reports the unnamed man defecated in his shorts and tried to conceal one lump under a fridge, making a huge mess. One lump. There's another picture. I'm not sure what he's doing. I think he's actually in the act of pooing in his pants. Defecating, excuse me. Let's be classy about this. And there's the next picture. He's doing you can tell he's just kicked the turd underneath the ice cream freezer. You don't keep ice cream in a fridge. What are they talking about? He then nonchalantly pays for his items and leaves his mess behind him. In the footage, the caught short shopper is seen bending slightly forwards before walking towards the counter. He then leaves a small present on the floor behind him. While at the counter, he allows another lump of poo to fall down his shorts and onto the floor, which he then attempts to kick under an ice cream refrigerator. Sometimes when you're in the middle of doing anything in life and it dawns on you how absurd it is, like reading this article for people to listen to, it's a very strange feeling. It's I don't know what to call it. Time to rethink life choices? I don't know. And then we have another picture of him getting his stuff. And they seem to have blurred out his face in all the other photos except I think the fourth or fifth one down for whatever reason. He looks like a serial pooer. I don't know that for certain. I'm joking. I don't want him to arrest me. Sue me, not arrest me. What is he, a cop? Turd patrol? However, instead of concealing the turd, he ends up smearing it across the floor with his blue Crocs. Sorry, that struck me as funny. However, instead of concealing the turd, he ends up smearing it across the floor with his blue Crocs. You gotta be careful with the Crocs. Crocs are full of the holes. You don't want any of your poo to just get impacted in there. I wouldn't think. I don't wear Crocs. I don't poo on the floor either. The male cashier arrives and appears to inquire about the first lump of poo left in the aisle. However, the nonplussed shopper carries on as if nothing had happened. Way to play it cool. At the end of the clip, the man pays for his items and leaves behind a messy collection of feces for someone else to clean up. It is unclear if the supermarket are investigating the incident. And that's it. That's all I got for this one. That's all there should be. I hope they find justice. Stop this guy from doing it again, but I don't know what you're thinking. What's going through your mind that you gotta go to the bathroom in your pants, in your shorts, and then you try to hide one and you just smear it on the floor. At that point, you know you're caught. You have to apologize and say, hey, you got some paper towels and, I don't know, Windex. I don't know what you clean poo up with, but you got to clean it up. Okay, let's move away from farts and dirty diapers and poop. Change the subject altogether. From the independent.co.uk, man charged after botched castration attempt at his Florida home. Hey, Florida man. But yeah, he messed up somebody's castration. And there is a photo of the gentleman. He's an older man. Let's get into the article. Investigators describe this case as kinda nuts. Huh? That's pretty good. After they charged a man who performed a botched castration on another man at his Florida home. Gary Van Ryswick, 74, had dropped the ball on this one. They got a couple of good ones in this article. The Highlands County Sheriff's Office wrote in a Facebook post after they charged him with second-degree felony of practicing medicine without a license resulting in bodily injury. Officers attended his home in the city of Sebring after someone hung up a 911 call from the property, the post said. Once they arrived, he explained that he had attempted to remove the testicles of a 53-year-old man he had met a week earlier on a dark web website for people who have a castration fetish. That's interesting, a castration fetish. Because once you're castrated. You can't get it removed again to relive the fetish. Interesting, I suppose. He told the victim that he had experience on animals and had even removed one of his own testicles in 2012. I don't know if I could do that. If I could remove one of my own testicles. I don't think many people could. It added, deputies found the man on the bed with a towel over his groin, which was bleeding heavily. Nearby, there was a pink container which held 2 body parts that had recently been much closer to the victim. The victim was taken to the hospital and was later flown to a regional medical center. He is listed in stable condition. It is unclear whether his testicles were reattached. I'd like to know. Can they do that? I guess they could. Mr. Van Ryswick told sheriffs that he had attempted and failed a similar operation with a different man several years ago in a motel. That freaks me out when you hear about strange occurrences like this in a motel or a hotel. Because then when you go to stay at a hotel or a motel, all you can do is wonder, what the fuck happened in this room before I got here? It could be anything. That's a fear of mine. I just had to get it out, and I feel better now. Thank you for listening. He also claimed to have removed one of his own testicles in 2012. I already said that. Investigators found a section of his home organized as makeshift surgical room, including medical equipment and painkillers purchased online from England, the Facebook post said, adding that he also had a camera set up to record the procedure. Mr. Van Ryswick is currently being held in jail on a $250,000 bond. That's a pretty penny. The sheriff said that the most 911 hang-up calls don't make the cut when it comes to being memorable, but this one will definitely hang around in memory for a while. I would think so. Not something you want to show up to, a botched castration surgery. And here we have just one of those weird ones. Just mental illness. Wall-to-wall mental illness. From BellinghamHerald.com. Man says Ariana Grande told him to cut power lines to keep KGB from spreading toxins. 41-year-old Maple Falls man reportedly seen cutting power lines and damaging meter boxes told sheriff's deputies he was doing so as instructed by Ariana Grande to prevent Russian KGB agents from poisoning the U.S. with nuclear toxins. Seems above board. Yeah. Deputies booked Greg Alvin Botteron into Whatcom County Jail in Bellingham, Washington, on Tuesday, August 20th, on suspicion of first-degree malicious mischief. Jail records show he was released on personal recognizance Wednesday. Did I say that word right? I'm not even going to try again. Deputies responded at 11:30 a.m. Tuesday to the 7900 block of Santa Fe Trail after witnesses reported that a man named Greg had cut power lines and meter box wiring to a residence, according to the probable cause statement provided to the Bellingham Herald by Chief Deputy Kevin Hester. Botteron then allegedly cut power lines from a power pole and inside a power meter box in the 6400 block of Santa Fe Trail. That is where deputies found him, still cutting lines, the statement said. Badaran told deputies that he worked for the U.S. government and that he was disabling the boxes to prevent Russian KGB agents from poisoning the U.S. with nuclear toxins transferred through the power lines. He also reportedly said Grammy Award-winning recording artist Ariana Grande told him to do it and that he worked with the U.S. military. Puget Sound Energy had to respond to repair exposed power lines that created a safety hazard, the statement said, and the estimated damage was more than $5,000 for just the second location. PSE spokesperson Janet Kim told the Herald there were no reported outages as a result of the incidents. Well, that's good. I mean, the whole thing is wacky, but wasn't too much of a hassle. Tuesday's arrest was Badaran's second in 8 days, as he was booked August 12th on suspicion of second-degree burglary and third-degree theft, Whatcom County Superior Court records show. In that incident, documents state that Badaran broke into a shed in the 7800 block of Santa Fe Trail, removed several boxes, and placed them along the roadway. Badaran said he did so because the KGB had stolen the property and he was just returning it to the rightful owners. There's a picture of some of his handiwork taking out a meter box. He shredded that thing. And that's it. I guess a little schizophrenia for you. Or maybe Ariana Grande is right. Maybe. Probably not. Okay, here we go. Let's just get into it. nzherald.co.nz. Headline reads, Sex dolls in China treated as members of the family. Why not? Just why not? Custom-made sex dolls are being brought in China to be more than a toy. They are used as family companions. And right up top we have a image of Zhang Yu. He seems to be the main character of the story. He's there with one of his dolls. That's right, one of his dolls. Below that we have a video of him and his son and their dolls. It's worth checking out at www.otheritemsofinterest.com. Go to the link for this episode and check out the show notes. It's really worth it. I promise. Businessman Zhang Yu lives in a small town in southwest China with his teenage son and their 11 sex dolls. 11 sex dolls. One wasn't enough per person, so you get 11. It has been years since the Chinese man has been with an actual woman. With his lack of success with romantic relationships, he turned to sex dolls for companionship, he told Quartz News. Whenever I order custom-made dresses for them, the tailors would think I'm joking because the measurements are far from the normal size of a human, Yu told Quartz, as he revealed multiple outfits he had brought for his sex dolls. Nobody has such big boobs and a small waist. There's the kicker. That's why the custom-made dresses, the tailors, they don't know what's going on. Yu likes the big boobs and the small waist. I mean, I don't know if all his dolls are the same proportions, but if you got a bunch of dolls, wouldn't you get like a bunch of different styled of woman? Different shapes, different sizes, different faces. I'm just asking for a friend. In China, there are 34 million more men than women, according to the latest census, which is partially a result of the previous one-child policy. This has resulted in men turning to sex dolls for companionship. The dolls that are made to look as realistic as possible cost around $2,000 US, each on Taobao, China's largest online shopping platform. The website has estimated that around 1,500 sex dolls are sold on the site every day. 1,500 sex dolls sold on the site every day. That's a lot. I'm floored. Although there is no exact number of how many people in China own the dolls, Yu, who has built an online following among the community of sex doll owners, estimates that number to be at least 6 digits. Yu's photo he shares online of his dolls posed on outings and in photo shoots are praised in comments by a growing community of sex doll owners in China. He is so well respected in the doll community. That's something I didn't think I'd ever read. He is so well respected in the doll community that some have asked Yu to adopt their dolls when they get married because they know that the dolls will be in good hands. This went from weird to bizarre. His care for his original sex dolls is part of the reason why he has ended up with so many. Okay. There we go. That's a good reason. I guess it's a good reason to have 11 sex dolls. Yu previously ran a company that fixed TVs and sound boxes, which has allowed him to make and sell adapters for the sex dolls that allow customers to mix and match the heads and bodies made by different manufacturers. Okay. If dolls can speak and move just like humans, I bet all men would prefer to spend their life with dolls, Yu revealed. That's a bold statement from you. I'm sure there are many men that feel that way. A lot of thoughts going in my head right now. I don't know if that's sad or that's just a problem on his end that he can't connect. Artificial intelligence sex dolls are currently in development by a company in China due to China's rapidly growing sex toy industry. That's the end of the article. I do implore you to check out that video that accompanies this article. It's almost 5 minutes long. It's just an interesting watch. That's all it is. And I don't know about this artificial intelligence sex dolls, because if they're artificially intelligent, how intelligent are they? Do they realize they're nothing but a sex slave? Or what? I mean, imagine just you come to, you're awake, you're aware. Oh, there's another person. What is that person doing to me? And I guess in the programming, it would have to be accepted. It would just have to be, because then it turns into something not so good with a word that sounds like rape. I mean, can that happen? This is a bad idea. We have to stop it. This is like this should be like a Terminator movie where we just have to stop artificially intelligent sex dolls. Well, that's the end of the show. Try to keep it short this week, like I said at the beginning. Hopefully it worked out. This has been Other Items of Interest. I've been Jack Zablocki. I don't know what else to say. There's just so much going on in my head about sex dolls and the things China does. And when you're bewildered, the only words you can think to say are cue the music. This has been Other Items of Interest. I've been Jack Zablocki. I want to thank you so much for sharing your time with us. Visit us online at Instagram at Other Items Pod, at Twitter at Other Items, and visit us online at www.otheritemsofinterest.com. Thank you. Bye-bye.